The NFL playoffs are here, and starting tomorrow, we're going to have our action of the wild card weekend, super wild card weekend, as we now call it, apparently, with the 6 different matchups. And what better than for us to hop onto a YouTube video and give our predictions the day before, just so we can get them out there. So, if who knows, maybe we pick every game right. We have evidence that we picked every game right. So, I'm excited for this year. We're gonna have a very interesting playoff, in my opinion. I think we're gonna have a new champion, a new one that we've seen in a long time, a new Super Bowl matchup, or one that we haven't seen in a long time. But it's gonna be a fun, interesting playoffs, and it all starts with that wild card round, which can be the most wild of them all. That's what they call them, the wild card. But before we hop into our picks, I do want to just mention a lot of you guys are not subscribed to the channel who watch my videos. If you find yourself coming back to my videos, I'd really appreciate it if you just hit the subscribe button. If this is your first video and you really enjoy it, please hit it as well. It's free. It helps me out a ton. We're trying to hit 1,000 before the end of the year, which is a long way to go, but we've got a lot of time. So, but without further ado, let's hop right into this bracket prediction. All right. So, it's been a good season. Feels like almost shades of 2013, 2014 with the Broncos, Patriots, and Seahawks being the 3 best teams in the NFL. Absolutely wild season. The NFC West was insane. The AFC West was good for a good point of the season. The Chargers and the Broncos both making it. And then talk about that AFC South where the Colts, 8-2 at one point, finished the season 8-9. And traded away their first round pick for the next 2 years as well. The Jets helping the Jets out a little bit more. They got 2 top 16 picks in the draft. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. What the Jets are going to do with those 2 first round picks. We did that mock draft 3.0, but the Jaguars winning the AFC South, and then the Texans right behind them on a 9-game winning streak to end the season, and then the Bears winning the NFC North for the first time in a while. But without further ado, let's just hop into our first matchup. We're going to start with the NFC, and we're going to start with that side of the wild card round. We'll go round by round. We're not going to go conference to conference, but we'll start off. We're going to go with Bears and Packers. This is honestly probably has the most storyline at any game. Obviously, it is 2 bitter rivals going at it in the playoffs. The last game, the Packers absolutely collapsed against the Bears. And as much as I would want to say the Chicago can run away with this in a divisional matchup, especially in the playoffs with that big of a situation, you can't say that it's just going to be that easy. I like Green Bay a lot. I do think it's really hard to play the way that they have against Chicago 3 straight times where they just outclass them for most of the game. And so I really enjoyed watching Chicago, and I think Caleb Williams is going to be able to do stuff. I love Ben Johnson as a coach now. I always have, but I love this matchup. It's hard to choose, honestly, because Green Bay just seems to have Chicago's number, but I feel like it's hard to have a team's number 3 times in a season, despite the fact that the series split 1-1. The Packers really had the Bears number in the last game. So we're going to go with Chicago beating Green Bay in the wild card round in that matchup. Now we'll move on to Philly and San Francisco. This matchup could be intriguing. I think it could be the best game of the weekend. My personal best game of the weekend is going to be Jacksonville and Buffalo. We'll get into that once we get to the AFC. But I'm a little. If you've heard about the rumors and the speculations and everything, Philly's head official is openly known as an Eagles fan, so that could be interesting to see how that goes out. But at the end of the day, I just think, despite all injuries and everything, I love the Niners in this game compared to the Eagles. The Eagles have a good roster. Saquon's going to figure it out, I feel like, in this playoffs. If they do make a deep playoff run, he's going to be their X factor, of course. And the offense is just, kind of figuring things out, I guess, in Philly. Not super, but kind of. But at the end of the day, if I feel like Philly's just been on an off year this year, and I don't see them being able to beat a San Francisco team who's played really well despite defensive injuries. And I know Fred Warner, maybe this report was fake or not, but he's aiming to make a comeback Hopefully, like that's ridiculous if that's true. But I like the Niners offense a lot, man. Brock Purdy's been playing lights out, and it's rare to hear that from me because I used to be a big Brock Purdy hater. I'm not the you know like not hater but denier. You know, when Niners fans thought he was the best quarterback ever, but it felt like for 2 seasons. But he's a great quarterback, honestly. He's probably going to be he's would be in my top 15. He's definitely one of those upper half players when it comes to QB play, but he can make things happen, and he's got good weapons around him, so that really helps out with McCaffrey, Kittle. They just need to stay healthy, man. If they can stay healthy, they can make a deep playoff run, but they're going to go and beat the Eagles here. Now for the Rams and the Panthers beat the Rams this season. And the Rams, I think they were minus 11, minus 10.5. It's hard to beat a team twice, like we said. Carolina, maybe you could say, oh, Carolina played lights out against the Rams, they can do it again, which is very true. But I think this is the easiest matchup of the day. Carolina none of the NFC South teams really deserve to be in the playoffs, if being honest. We're going to go with Los Angeles in the final NFC wildcard round. That team's just way too good. Stafford and Drake May, the whole debate about the MVP. We're gonna have a video about an MVP talk a little bit in the future, but just want to get this playoffs a little bit down, maybe after the wild card, maybe next week. But man, we'll move on to the AFC. We'll go with New England, the other MVP candidate, and Drake May, and the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are a very good team. I think Herbert is a great player. Still trying to find his way into a playoff win. My concern with the Chargers is that offensive line is atrocious, and you're not going to go far with that. And so, even though you can say the Pats have played an easy schedule, blah, 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 I still, at the end of the day, I think the Pats got the better team here. I think they're going to have better coaching here. They got two great coaches, let me say, Vrabel and Harbaugh on the other side of each other. That's going to be a great coaching matchup. I do think the Patriots will be able to sneak this one out with a victory and host a divisional round game in the next round. So now Jacksonville and Buffalo, my most exciting game, the one I'm anticipating the most. Josh Allen, no Patrick Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson in this playoffs. There is no excuse for him to not go and win it all. I mean, he has everything going for him. But the problem is he's going against the hottest team in the NFL and the Jacksonville Jaguars, in my opinion. Them and the Texans are the two hottest teams in football, and sometimes that's all that matters. You don't need to be the better team; you need to be the hotter team. It's kind of like March Madness, honestly. It's like March Madness, where whoever's the hottest team in football, the hottest team in basketball, they're going to keep going, they're going to keep rolling. Now the games are played more often in March Madness than in the playoffs, and in NFL playoffs it's every week. But Jacksonville's just looked so dang good. Liam Cohen's done an excellent job getting that team all figured out. And because of that, I really can't pick against him. Josh Allen just can't figure it out. That defense in Buffalo isn't something I enjoy watching, honestly. I don't trust it against a team like Jacksonville. And Jacksonville's got a great, well-rounded team. Trevor Lawrence playing at an MVP level. I mean, Travis Etienne Jr. been able to unleash him again. Liam Cohen has. Their wide receiver core, Brian Thomas Jr., who looked excellent last year, hasn't even really done anything, and they've been much better. I mean, much better. They were they had the 5th pick in the draft last year. So with that, I got to go with Jacksonville. I mean, they've just been on one. They've been excellent. And a big shout out to Liam Cohen, who I personally think should be the coach of the year, him or Ben Johnson. I really think, as much as Mike Vrabel did a great job in New England, we all knew Mike Vrabel's a great coach. We all know he's a great coach. I think Liam Cohen, in my opinion, is my coach of the year. So, but with that being said, we're going to go with Jacksonville over Buffalo here in the wild card. Now, next pick is going to be the Steelers versus the Texans. Honestly, these 4-5 matchups I don't think are going to be too hard to pick. I think Houston's arguably one of the best teams in this, arguably the best team in the playoff in the AFC. That defense is unbelievable. DeMeco Ryans doing an excellent job. If the offense is on, if the offense is working like it has been, this team is going to go all the way to the bowl. I'm telling you right now. But between them and the Steelers, you can't count out Rodgers. but I'm going to count out Rodgers. I'm going to go with the Texans. So we're going to have three wild card road teams winning in my bracket: the Texans, Niners, and Rams, and then the Bears, Patriots, and Jaguars defending home field. Now we will move on to our next one, the divisional round: the Seahawks and the Niners. We just saw what the Seahawks did to the Niners in Week 18. I think that would be a little bit of a repeat of what we see in this divisional round. I think it'll be a lot closer, a lot better of a game. I just think that Seahawks team, that defense is amazing. And my problem with Sammy Darnold, um, he might crumble. We saw it with Minnesota. He crumbled, and as much as I'd love to see him make a run for Seattle, I don't see it happening. Truly, like against a very, very good defense. Like if they made the Super Bowl against the Broncos or the Texans or something like that, I don't see them winning because I see Sam Darnold crumbling, and that's what I'm worried about when I pick the Seahawks to go all the way, or when I pick the Seahawks to make a deep run, which even kind of makes me thinking, should I go back and should I pick the 49ers in this? Because that Niners team is dang good, but I just don't think they're healthy enough to beat Seattle. And that Seattle defense is incredible. So a defense wins championships, man. What can I say? As for the second matchup, the Bears and the Rams, as much as I would love to see the Bears make it to the NFC Championship game, which I think there is a world they could pull off this upset, that Rams team is so dang good. I mean, it's so hard to stop that offense. They've got, what, 4 all-pro caliber players. Obviously, Kyron's not going to be an all-pro this year, and he's been splitting reps with Blake Corum, but that running back core is crazy. They got 2 all-pro wide receivers. They got an MVP candidate in Matthew Stafford. We're going to get to see the best matchup possible between the Rams and the Seahawks in the NFC Championship. This is what any NFL fan who, if you don't have a team in this running, this is what you should be rooting for the NFC Championship, because both of the games between these two teams have been excellent games. The Rams did kind of blow that game against the Seattle Seahawks in the last one, but this will be an excellent NFC Championship. That's why I think those are the 2 best teams in the NFC, and that will be my NFC Championship, the Seahawks and Rams. Now, for the AFC, the Broncos and the Texans and the Jaguars go to Foxborough to play the Patriots. I think this is where the Patriots season comes to an end. I'm going to go with Jacksonville for the Patriots game. I'm going to start with that one just because I want to talk a little bit more about the Bronco game. I think that it's been a great season for the Patriots. Patriots fans really, I don't think, would be super upset with losing in the playoffs this year because they got a bright future ahead for them. Schedule is going to be definitely a lot harder for them next year, which was the big factor of why people think the Patriots, are a fraudulent team. They had a really easy schedule. But Jacksonville has been such a great team, such a well-rounded team. I just think it's hard to stop a team when they're rolling the way that Jacksonville is. And a team like the Patriots really aren't the most battle-tested. Is not a team that's going to be able to stop them. So we're going to go Jacksonville onto the AFC Championship, which is crazy to see. They get their revenge from 2017, but Jacksonville to the AFC Championship. Now, Denver and Houston. This is a awesome matchup. I'm excited for this game. I've been talking about it with my friends a lot, the Broncos all year. Bo Nix and that offense, they need to figure stuff out in the first 3 quarters. They have looked subpar majority of the game, and the defense is what's kept them into some of their games. There's a lot of games where they've only won by 1 possession against bad teams like the Titans in week 1. I mean, the Raiders when they won 10-7. The offense looks dormant at times, and that defense is the only reason why they are keeping a lead or staying in the game. And I mean, even on Christmas Day, even against the third Chris Oladokun or whatever his name is, Oladokun. I don't know. The third year player, the guy from the Malik Willis draft, I think it was. They barely beat that team, man, and it's just that defense is incredible. But against a team like the Texans, who has just as good not even just as good, a better defense, and an offense that's been clicking recently, I can't pick Bo Nix and the Broncos to win that one. So I'm going to go with the Texans over the Broncos. I think the 2 defenses are great, but at the end of the day, the way the Broncos offense has worried me all season just is something that's going to stop a team like them from making a Super Bowl run. Not a deep playoff run, because obviously they only need to win 1 game to technically make a deep playoff run. But that Texans team, they're going to be riding on a high after beating Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, and they're going to beat Denver in Denver. And we're going to have an AFC South AFC championship. We're going to have two divisional matchups in my conference championships, which is, I don't remember the last time that's ever happened, to be honest. Yeah, I couldn't tell you because it's always been the Chiefs versus someone, but for the past how many years, or the Patriots versus someone for the how many years. But Jacksonville in Houston, we'll talk about that one in a second. I mean, these are two great matchups. It's hard to kind of choose. Jacksonville and the Texans, the two hottest teams in football, in my opinion, the two strongest AFC teams, in my opinion, as well. Which is crazy to say that the Jaguars and the Texans are the two strongest teams. Maybe I'm putting too much faith in the Texans' offense, in Stroud and whatnot, but they've been looking great. And with a defense like their defense, it's hard to beat a team like that. But this will be a battle, an absolute battle. I mean, Houston had to make that comeback against Jacksonville when they played them last. But when I look at it, the history of these two teams, their schedules, their past, their win streaks, their whatever. Jacksonville has great wins. Texans have great wins, but the Texans have so many wins in this 9-game winning streak, or in this past 11 games. They have so many wins against other playoff teams and contending teams, and that really is what drives me to say the Texans are going to win the AFC. I am such a believer in defense wins championships. They have the best defense in the AFC, arguably the best. Them in the Seahawks are probably the two best defenses in the NFL, and their offenses are both clicking. That's the thing. When you have a good offense and then the best defense, it's hard for me to pick against you. So I have the Texans going on to the Super Bowl. It's crazy to be saying that. The Texans, the Houston Texans in the Super Bowl. Is this their first appearance in franchise history? I believe so. Yes, it is. And they've only been a franchise for about 20 years. So, unbelievable. They get their first Super Bowl appearance. This one's going to be a great game. Jacksonville might win this one. I think it's going to be an AFC South team representing the AFC in the Super Bowl this year, which will be awesome to see. As for the NFC, Seattle and Los Angeles, man, Stafford, Darnold, Kyron, Kenneth Walker, Puka, JSN. This matchup is going to be awesome. Split series, 1-1. My third game in Seattle, last game in Seattle was probably game of the year. When it comes down to this game, I kind of have the same logic as that Packers-Bears logic. The Rams won game 1. They were beating the Seahawks for most of game 2 and then kind of blew it, just like how the Packers blew game 2 against the Bears. Now, this is a lot different because the Rams are a better team than Packers, but the Seahawks are also a much better team than the Bears. I think the Seahawks team is riding on a huge high right now. You're the 1 seed. You dominated a division rival to keep that 1 seed in the Niners, and you're going to go and beat them again in the divisional round. Beating 2 divisional rivals in 1 playoff run to make it to the Super Bowl is incredible. And so I think Seattle is going to clinch a spot, punch their ticket, better to say, into the Super Bowl. I'm going to say it. They're going to punch their ticket into the Super Bowl. The Rams, I think whoever wins that NFC matchup, if the Rams win it, I have no doubt I have the Rams winning the Super Bowl, and Stafford going out on a high. But I love that Seattle team. Man, I'm kind of having second thoughts though, guys. It's hard to pick against Matthew Stafford in that team, but I love that Seahawks defense. I love that Seahawks defense. But I'm worried about Sam Darnold. That's what's going on through my head right now as I'm looking at this. I'm worried about Sam Darnold, which is really making me think, both teams have good defense. The Rams kind of middle of the pack defense. But I think I'm going to switch. I honestly think I'm going to switch. I'm going to have 2 5 seeds in my Super Bowl. I'm going to switch to the Rams. That was a little interesting. I didn't even plan to do something like that. But Seattle's defense is incredible. But Stafford looked really good in those 2 games against Seattle. The first game, not as much. The second game, yes. But that offense is so good. It's hard to pick against McVay. And as much as I don't enjoy the Rams, I don't like the Rams, it really pains me to put them ahead. And these 2 teams, the Rams and the Texans, played each other at the beginning of the season, and the Rams won. But that Texans team was so different. Man. But For my Super Bowl pick, it's star-studded offense versus star-studded defense. Good defense versus good offense. Um, it's hard for me to decide. My heart wants to pick the Texans, but like logically, my brain's telling me you have to pick the Rams. I'm not the biggest Rams guy. That's kind of why I want to pick Seattle to make the Super Bowl. I just think the Rams have it's almost destiny for the Rams. You know, Stafford wins MVP. He goes out on a high, wins the Super Bowl, and, you know, cements his legacy as one of the better, even higher up there on the all-time list. And you know what? I think as much as my heart says the Texans, I'll be rooting for the Texans to win the Super Bowl. I'm gonna have to pick the Los Angeles Rams to be my Super Bowl champion. That team's so dang good, and McVay gets his second ring in Los Angeles in 3 attempts, making the Super Bowl. So that is going to be my playoff bracket. It's so difficult to choose. I think this year is the most up in the air kind of year, and I don't know who will win. It could be anybody, honestly, but I'm going to be picking the Rams to win this one in a close game against the Texans in San Francisco. So that'll be for Super Bowl 60, correct? Yes, Super Bowl 60. So that'll be it for this video. You know, what do you think? What are your predictions? Who's your Super Bowl matchup and Super Bowl winner? But that's going to be me. Rams and Texans in the Super Bowl. My winner, the Los Angeles Rams over the Houston Texans, and Stafford goes out on a high to retire. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed. If you are not subscribed to the channel and you enjoy the content, I would really appreciate the subscribe button being hit by you. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.